Warriors, welcome back to Gods of Alliance. If you're here, it means you want power, knowledge, and control over the battlefield. This is not luck. This is strategy. Today we are talking about something many players ask constantly. What are my best Chaos teams? Not theoretical teams, not perfect whale teams, not dream compositions. These are the 3 Chaos teams that, with the heroes I currently own, have consistently given me the best results. And today we are breaking down exactly why. Let's break the game together. Before showing gameplay, let's quickly talk about the heroes we are using, because Chaos has something extremely important: flexibility. Even if we use many of the same heroes repeatedly, the interactions completely change depending on which support heroes you add. Astaroth remains the foundation. Survivability, revive, protection, and most importantly, time. Kayla brings explosive damage and aggressive pressure. Xe'Sha transforms health into destruction and scales fights into chaos. Aidan becomes the engine that keeps everyone alive. Jorgen controls energy and slows enemy ultimates. Peech creates disruption and opens opportunities. Dorian provides sustain and allows dangerous heroes to survive longer. And Kendle simply creates problems. A lot of problems. Our first team is Astaroth, Kayla, Jorgen, Xe'Sha, Aidan. This team focuses heavily on tempo. Jorgen slows enemy ultimates. Astaroth creates safety. Kayla begins applying pressure. Then Xe'Sha starts converting the entire battlefield into absolute chaos. Our second team, Astaroth, Kayla, Xe'Sha, Peech, Aidan. This composition becomes much more aggressive. Less control, more pressure, more disruption, more explosive momentum. And finally, Astaroth, Xe'Sha, Dorian, Kendle, Aidan. This team plays completely differently. Longer fights, more sustain, more scaling, and much more punishment if enemies cannot quickly eliminate targets. Now let's jump into gameplay, starting with team number 1. Immediately you can notice something important. This team does not necessarily win because it explodes enemies instantly. It wins because everything happens at the correct moment. Watch Jorgen. This is where many players underestimate him. Slowing enemy energy means Kayla gains more time. Xe'Sha gains more time. Aidan gains more time. Chaos teams love time. Now look at Astaroth. He is doing exactly what he is supposed to do. Nothing flashy. Nothing spectacular. Simply creating survival windows. Kayla then begins doing what Kayla always does. Applying pressure. Forcing reactions. Creating chaos inside chaos. And once Xe'Sha starts properly scaling, things become dangerous. Very dangerous. One thing I love about this team is consistency. You rarely feel completely out of control. You usually have answers. You usually have recovery potential. And if fights become longer, this composition becomes stronger. Now moving into team number 2. Immediately, you notice something different. This team feels faster, more violent, more aggressive. Peech changes everything. Instead of controlling fights more carefully, you begin disrupting them, and disruption creates mistakes. This team often wins because enemies simply lose structure. Kayla becomes more dangerous here because she receives more opportunities. Xe'Sha becomes more dangerous because battles become messy. And Chaos loves messy fights. Astaroth again remains incredibly important. Without protection, aggressive Chaos compositions become much riskier. But with protection, you create something much more dangerous. This team probably creates some of my fastest victories. But there is a trade-off. You sacrifice some stability. Sometimes aggressive teams dominate. Sometimes aggressive teams collapse. That is the price of pressure. Still, when this team works, it works beautifully. Now, for team number 3. And this is where things become interesting. Because this team does not look like typical Chaos. This team feels different. Much slower, much heavier, much more oppressive. Kendle creates enormous problems. Enemies cannot simply ignore him, but if they focus him, other threats survive. Dorian completely changes survivability. Now suddenly heroes survive situations where they normally should not. Now, suddenly, scaling becomes realistic. Now, suddenly, long battles become favorable. And then we have Xe'Sha again, because chaos without Xe'Sha often feels incomplete. She transforms survivability into damage, damage into pressure, pressure into victories. This team usually performs best in longer battles. If enemies cannot eliminate threats quickly, things start snowballing. And when chaos starts snowballing, recovering becomes difficult. Very difficult. So what is my final verdict? These are not necessarily the best chaos teams in Hero Wars. These are my best chaos teams. Based on my heroes, based on my investment, based on my testing. And this part is extremely important. Results change. Relics change everything. Skins change everything. Glyphs change everything. Ascension changes everything. Even small differences in investment can completely transform how teams behave. So do not copy blindly. Understand why teams work. Understand why heroes interact, and then adapt. Because that is where real progression happens. Warriors, this is how we play the game. Not randomly, not blindly, with knowledge, with precision, with control. We don't build randomly. We build with intention. Master the mechanics. Control the fight. Let's break the game together.